Hello, Super 16 runners. Gonna make this tutorial for people who may not have played Super Metroid or maybe only ran through it once or so. I'm gonna try to make it as beginner friendly as possible to kind of go over some of the basics as well. And at the same time, try to bring up some of the strats that you might be, kind of willing to learn in order to get a faster time. But yeah, I think mainly going to be going through like what a beginner would be able to do. So one of the first things is that we are going to start off at the ship on Criteria rather than the initial area. So in order to do that, we're going to have to go through Series Station, and then it'll automatically save once we get on the Norfair, and then we'll have to reset and copy that save so we have it for later. One thing I would definitely recommend, as someone coming in new, is change these buttons as it makes sense for you. The one really big thing that I suggest is to swap item select and item cancel. It feels so much more natural to select your missiles, your super missiles, your power bombs with Y or one of the other face buttons versus select. It's I think most runners agree with that. Very few high-level runners do anything besides that. I personally use the default besides swapping around, but some people like swapping around dash and jump because you're going to be holding dash like a majority of the game, so you want to have it somewhere that feels comfortable on the bottom of your thumb, so you can use the top of your thumb for shoot, jump, or item select. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started with the game. Alright, and once again, we're on Series. This is not where you'll want to start in the Super 16. Let's go through here. So you can see, I'm not actually running the vanilla game right now. I'm doing the practice hack. So that's why you can see my inputs as well as room times and things like that. That'll let me kind of show multiple strats and do some save states and things like that, just kind of make it a little bit more convenient. And I did forget to turn on Moonfall or Moonwalk. That's another setting a lot of people use, but that's generally for players wanting to use a bit more advanced tech that's required. So the first boss we just damaged down, kind of scripted fight. Technically you can do enough damage to make him leave without getting hurt, but not super important for this. So we're going to make our way out. The stereotypical escape. We'll be doing some wall jumps here, which is not required tech. It can be a little unintuitive to pull off if you have, you've played other games with wall jumps. It works fairly differently. All right, so now that we've done a series, or we finished series, we'll land on the ship and reset, and I'll show you how to copy your save file so that you'll be in the right spot for the Super 16 race. Maybe I'll just speed ahead of here a little bit. All right, so game has saved and reset. I feel like it didn't save for me, but that's fine. All right, have some practice hack stuff. Don't worry about that. So it might have just be because of, oh, okay. Huh. I wonder when the save actually activates. So I guess I'm learning something myself. Let's go back in the ship and do a manual save. Because normally it saves. I'm kind of confused of what happened there. Maybe you have to leave the room in order for it to save, but that's kind of interesting. All right. So we just make our way to the left here. There's really only one path you can take. Skip all these other doors so you can, explore a little bit if you're curious. Alright, so I was about to do a trick, but I think really just kind of fall down on this side. Super easy. And you can kind of try to dodge that platform. You want to save a little bit of time. You just run through this room. I'd recommend, maybe for beginners, kind of doing something more like this. It can be hard to make those jumps. Until you get used to the way the momentum works and everything, because that's a big part of Super Metroid is the momentum. All right, go to the left here. Oh my gosh, get that morph ball. And so I don't have item fanfares on, and what that means is that it plays the little music like do 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 do. That takes about 6.5, 7 seconds. So every pickup you take will add an extra like 6.5, 7 seconds. And so there we get the first missiles. I think maybe for beginners, it might be a good idea to come in here and grab this extra missile pack. And those red doors require missiles or super missiles to destroy. And it takes 5 normal missiles and 1 super missile. Or 1 super missile, rather. Right, so there's nowhere else to go here. But yeah, that missile's a good one to skip out on if you're starting to feel comfortable. Next, we are going for our first major item besides Morph Ball. And there's a couple ways through this room. This is kind of, a new player's nightmare. It teaches you how the jumps work. And so one thing to notice is when I'm stationary and I jump very vertically. But if you run and then jump, you got a bit more horizontal momentum you got to deal with. So I think, and if you crouch, it kind of prevents that spin lock. So maybe for beginners, it's probably better to just kind of do something like this. Try to keep your jumps vertical in most spots, and if you need a little bit more horizontal, do a run and then a jump. And like kill these guys as you're going along. But you can also kind of jump up them pretty quickly if you know what you're doing. But yeah, this is one of the main first hurdles, and obviously if anybody has any questions or anything, just message me on Discord. I'm in the Super 16 or the Retro Discord channel, so probably how you found this. So yeah, just kind of make our way up here. All right, so we want to go through this little hole here with our morph ball. Find this another red door where we find our first little mini boss, Bomb Chorizo. We get morph bombs. That allows us to lay down bombs. They break certain blocks, and they also allow you to bomb jump. So Bomb Chorizo, one thing to notice about him is he has these iframes. When he's flashing, you cannot hurt him again. So if you have some extra missiles, be sure to space out how fast you're shooting the missiles. And as you can see there, he shoots out these little balls that you can shoot, and they farm out or drop some missiles and things. And missiles do 3 times and a third more damage than a normal shot, so they can be very useful, especially on these early bosses when we don't have more powerful beams. Alright, so here's one trick that might be worth learning for some players. I won't go too in depth about it, but if anybody has any questions, let me know. But yeah, to get out of here in the intended way, use some bombs. And if you feel like you need some more missiles, we can come down here. And this is generally in the 100% speedruns, this is the last missile that people get, because you don't generally need more missiles, but yeah, if it helps you out, there's some missiles there. And one little tip is you can jump morph and go through that hole rather than rebombing all those. It's a little bit faster. Actually, quite a bit faster. Right. Now, we will make our way to the next area. Terminator. Just kind of run through these guys. Pick up this energy tank. So your energy tank, normally there's a HUD on the top left that shows how much health you have. That adds an extra 100. So you see 199 there. That's how much energy I currently have. And especially if you have a decent amount of missiles, you can either kill these guys this way or just run through them. Not a big deal either way. But you know, resource management can be very important, especially if you're trying to go fast. And speaking of you know, resource management, if you're running a little low after your fights with your, you know, on your missiles or stuff, you can kill these guys, and they have pretty good drop rates. And you can enter the room and, you know, exit the room and re-enter it if you need more than that. So it's a good place to farm. All right, we'll go down this elevator. And one thing to note with elevators, holding L or R while you're trying to go down the elevator, it somehow expands your hitbox on Samus, so it's a good thing to do. Now, for players who are a bit more familiar with the game, you can do what's called a lock ball. You can jump through this door. Make sure you keep holding A and hit down and right as soon as you land. And one huge benefit of that is it gets you these super missiles that are up at the top early, but also there's a, you know, a reserve tank for a little bit more health and a couple missiles. There's actually another missile pack hiding behind here. But yeah, the big ticket item that you know, helps speed up every single speedrun category is these super missiles over here. And super missiles are very important. They're required. So yeah. Oh. Okay, there we go. So I just respawn just so to kind of keep my inventory how it would be in a, you know, more normal run. And if you need to farm some missiles, you know, after the K goes, these guys drop them fairly regularly. The bird's a little less, but yeah. So there's wall here is bombable. So we're just gonna do some nice little more bombs here. This will take us to Big Pink, and so the developer intended way to get super missiles is to come up this way. So we'll show that off here. You know, do some little dodges or use some missiles. Most of these enemies in the early game die in one shot. Open this door, and if you want some more ammo for the next room, you can sit here and farm. These are fairly common farm bugs, especially in randomizers. Speedruns, you tend to avoid at least that one. So this next room, these key hunters can be a little annoying and tough, but they do die in one missile. So I recommend missiling them, because otherwise it takes quite a bit longer. And now we're gonna face our second boss, our mini boss rather, Spore Spawn. And these little things drop health and missiles. So if you're running low on missiles, you can just, you know, do this. So he'll just kind of go around. You can dodge him by morphing on the ground, or even just crouching on the ground, or morphing in this corner. What we're doing is we're waiting for his mouth to open. You can shoot 2 missiles like that. I think it's possible to get a third one in there, but it's a little bit harder tech. And honestly, if it's your kind of first time playing this game, I'd say, you know, just go for at least one. But yeah, for getting 2 in there, it helps to kind of move forward, but jump and then move forward. That's what I was doing there. That's the second one. But if we get those early supers, I think I'll mention that, we don't need to fight this guy at all. So this, you can tell this fight's taking quite a while, and even just retrieving the supers afterwards is a little slow. Yeah. And if you're having trouble with, you know, the missile kill, it's possible that charge might help you out a little bit. So we'll show you where charge is here in a second. Okay. So we go up from here, and of course I'm doing wall jumps and everything, but it's not intended, or not intended, but you know, it's not required in any part of the game to wall jump. So this is a little brick crumble blocks. Those come up. You technically can jump off of them, but it's a pretty tight window. But yeah, we can talk more about that later if it becomes apparent, which I don't think there will be too much of. Just come down here for the fight, pick up these supers, and super missiles generally do 3 times as much damage, and I think against all the enemies that we're going to be facing, that's true in this case as well. So super doors will allow, or super missiles will allow us to destroy green doors, and it's the first, more or less required. So this one is a super block. So if you didn't notice, what I did is I shot it with super. If you bomb at it, it shows you a little icon of a super that's like up there. Yeah. And if you can do things, okay, never mind. Alright, grab some more missiles if needed. I think generally this is probably the second pack that most people are going to use. Yeah, once you do that, you can blow this up and get Charge Beam. And what Charge Beam does is it triples the amount of damage your beam does, as well as allows you to damage bosses with your beam. Because normally you have to use missiles. BT is one of the rare exceptions of normal shots hurting. Bomb Trizo, rather, the ones that give us bombs, is one of the rare instances of a boss that is killable with just normal beam shots. So, you know, depending on kind of how you route things, you might use charge, you might not. And another thing to note too is with Charge Beam, you can do what's called the pseudo screw. It's like screw attack, but it's not quite as powerful. But it does allow you to kill enemies. So that's a little item there. I think you kind of have to have, like, you know, more advanced items that come, you know, after the ending of the grapple bit is, so we'll just won't worry about that. You know, you can also wall jump, obviously, but... Alright, now we will start making our way down, and you can bomb these blocks, and it's a little bit faster. You can unmorph, do a down back, but I won't go through all that. Just keep going down. And running through the door is advisable for this section, but you can also just run, and that's one thing to notice I didn't actually talk about earlier, is always be holding dash. Like, unless you're doing some like light platforming, it's super important, because let's see here. So if I don't hold dash, I only run that far. Do that, and then you can make it. Even kind of do it a little early, not a big deal. And as you notice, water kind of slows you down, so anywhere there's water you want to typically avoid until you get a gravity suit, which we're not doing in this Super 16. And I actually just remembered something that trips up a lot of new players. This is called Noob Bridge. It takes a lot of new players a little bit to figure it out. So those little crumble blocks I was talking about before, if you aren't running, you just fall down. So yeah, make sure you are dashing all the way across this bridge. It's, kind of something I forget about that kind of trip up players that just seem so natural to me at this point. But anyway, make yourself down again. Just running through the door and jumping will get you across as well. And you can either kind of shoot those guys or just let them, take a hit on you. There's also deboosts that you can do, but I won't go into that as much. For any runners that are able to wall jump, this one's actually pretty easy. You literally just, you can barely move and then just hit left and jump. So it is doable, pretty easy to learn. And it will speed up some things, but I generally don't recommend getting this beam here for this route. So now, we got these 3 beams. And we can escape through here, through the crumble block. But other than that, say you're skipping Spazer, just kind of try to do some light jumps. You can super these enemies to kill them, which could be useful, but if you need at least one more super here to kind of help you out in the next area. So I generally recommend against it, but could be a thing. And if you notice, one thing I do is I kind of land further on the left on a lot of these little platforms, and that's because it gives me enough run energy or run speed that I'll be able to make these little jumps without having to worry about the yapping maw down there. Alright. Let's keep going here. And I think for a beginner, first we will go down. The area for the first real boss is to the right there. There's some super missile blocks blocking it. But in order to get past it, it's not a hard trick by any means, but it's decently hard for people that haven't really played it too much. We'll come down here. We'll go ahead and grab an E-tank. And so this little gamer here, enemy that spawns in there, you're gonna have to kill in order to exit this room on our way out. That's something to keep in mind. We'll come in here and get the high jump boots. The name kind of alludes to, it makes you jump higher. So we could have killed that gamer a little earlier, but we can also just wait for him to come here, and then we can make our way out to high jump. Bomb block there. So another little missile pack if needed. And I would say in this room, you need some resources. These are probably going to be one of your better guys to kill. They're not too bad, especially if you have Spazer. They do take a few hits if you don't. Alright, now that we have high jump and an extra E-tank, we will be coming here to Kraid's lair. So I recommend just crouching, shooting one block. Otherwise, you're gonna have to shoot 3 missiles, super missiles to open this, and that can waste some resources. So now that we have high jump, we can reach here. And I guess I'll go ahead and show you what you can do if you decide not to go down first, because it is faster, because we're gonna have to go right back down after getting through this boss. So it saves a little bit of time, but you can stay in here, do a short little run, jump, wall jump. So if you're willing to learn wall jumps, that's definitely a way to speed things up a little bit. All right, turn back on my high jump boots. All right, so on top of bomb blocks, there's also things called shot blocks, and this happens to be a shot block right here. You can also bomb it if you better safe than sorry, kind of like, oh, I can't remember if it's a shot block or a bomb block. You can just shoot or use bombs. So this one here is actually a bomb block, blocking our way. Go up here. We get some more of these key hunters, so we can either, you know, spazer them around, kill them kind of quickly, or we can also kind of try to weave around them. It saves a little bit of time. And they also die in one missile, just like the other key hunters, so we can also kind of dodge them like that. That'll save some time and resources. Alright, so these green pirates, if you do not have spazer, you will not be able to shoot them. But with missiles, you can one-shot them. So I recommend one-shotting those with missiles. Then we have what's called Baby Crate over here. He dies in one super and also drops a lot of supers. So I recommend, I think it's only 2 or 3 normal missiles, so either way. But supering them is generally advised. And the faster you do that room, the less little spikes you have to dodge there and everything. And so depending on how comfortable you're feeling with this next boss, you can sit here and farm this guy, or you can come through this room. And depending on how much health you've lost, like if you're really low health, this thing here will refill your health, and this will refill your missiles all the way to full. But not your super missiles, so keep that in mind. Go ahead and farm up one more super missile there. And if you're, you know, I should have explained that eye door there a little bit better. Let me redo this room here. Create key hunter. I don't have high jump anymore, but that's fine. So I'll kind of show a little bit more optimal way around here. Run through, just boop, boop, boop. I don't have supers right now for some reason, so there you go. It's a good way to refill on some supers. Right, and so this thing is called a Ghidorah. It'll shoot you, and you can only hurt it with missiles and super missiles. And those shots will block your super missiles, so you want to make sure to not, you know, shoot those on accident. The main thing you want to do, eye opens, shoot it with the super. You can kill it with 3 missiles, but it takes much longer. And if you aren't feeling super comfortable, you can come back here and also grab an extra super missile. Turn back to those high jump. Maybe some extra missiles as well. So Kraid here has 1000 HP. So that's 3 supers and a normal missile. That's something to keep in mind, or 10 normal missiles. And there's quite a few ways of taking them down. One of the easier ways is, or faster ways is like that. You shoot them in the mouth when it's like kind of open a little bit. I can point you to other places if you're actually really curious about learning how to do that. Otherwise, what we will do here is try to, when we want him to get out of this initial phase here, he can take a certain amount of damage before standing up. And because of this little claw here, it can cause some issues, but one thing you can do is shoot him while you're charged. The charge shot, and notice his claw kind of stops moving for that duration. That gives you the opportunity to kind of shoot him in the mouth while it's open. The claw won't be there to block. You can also use charge shots, but it's slow. Now it takes a little bit of time, but he'll start opening his mouth. You can shoot him in the stomach or the face, and that will open up his mouth. And there's these little things that come out. It can be a little hectic on your first few attempts. You can kill these claws, and they will drop you ammo and maybe a little bit of health, but it's not super common. It's more common for missiles to come out. And if you fall down the spikes, don't worry too much. Just try to get you back over here and high jump. Back here. I don't have high jump built. Keep using those things, those save states. So here we go. With high jump, you can easily make that jump. Alright, so shoot him in the stomach. Fire some missiles at him, or try to get a nice super in. We're gonna keep that claw out. He's dead. Just like the bomb Chorizo, he will drop health and other ammo. So usually good to try to pick those up. Now we get the Varia suit. Varia, that's usually what I call it. I don't know why I said it that way. Now this is it reduces the amount of damage you take from enemies and environmental effects by half. And by environmental things, I mean like spikes and whatnot. Alright, so we just kind of make our way back out of Kraid's lair. Kind of jumping through the door there makes this next little section easier, because then you can just kind of jump past these guys. But another way to kind of get through here that's not as efficient. You know, let's say like we're running through the door. So you could see it kind of gets him knocked in here. So you know you can kind of kill him with missiles or something, try to get him all out of your way, and then make your way out. Right. And for people that need a little bit more energy, there is in fact a energy tank in here. One thing to note is when these guys are grabbing you, you can aim a missile up and shoot, and it will kill them. The other way to kill them is with morph ball bombs, and you just kind of spam them while they're on you. But, nothing to note is that E-tanks will completely refill your health as well as enhancing the maximum. Remember, this is a shot block, so let's get back out of here. And one little nice tidbit is if you run and then shoot a super, like right there, it'll shoot the block that you need to break to get out. And also, I think with high jump it's a little harder, but you can also kind of make that jump if you don't have high jump. So we go back down, and the main reason you know, we're coming down here now is this is where Crockermeyer is, the holder of the grapple. And generally, you know, you're gonna have to come through this way, so now we will come through here. And these guys can be a little dangerous. They do a decent amount of damage, but a shot, even with the normal beam and then a missile, will kill them. Or just using 2 missiles or whatever. Come up here. Another reason high jump is important. So, you know, you saw I just kind of jumped there. You can also do a mock ball on there and do some more advanced tech, but I think initially just kind of try to jump and try to missile these guys, or just try to dodge them. And you can kill this guy, and always make sure you have enough super missiles. That's, like I said before, resource management is very important. So there's a couple ways to do this room. Kind of recommend just kind of rolling through here and then jumping up here. Otherwise, you can just kind of jump over the platforms. It can be a little, you know, intimidating at first with a lot of these one block platforms, but it's definitely a good test of you know, how good you are at movement at that point. So, and you know, this is lava, not acid. Lava does less damage, but it still slows you down like water. Alright, now we are at Bubble Mountain, because it's called that because it goes up high and it's made out of bubbles. And so really, we can skip all of this, but I think for a beginner's route, this is an important place to be. We want to kind of get up there, and there's a couple ways of doing it. You know, one of the easier but more advanced ways is to, especially with high jump, is we just come back here and we shoot and then jump. I missed that guy, but then we do some wall jumps and then we can make it in there. But that can be a little tough for people, especially, you know, beginners, and wall jumps are hard in general. So instead, we will come down here. These are shot blocks, but like I said before, you can just blow them up with normal bombs as well. And you can grab those missiles if you want, but I feel like at this point, you got charge beam, you're probably going to be fine. And in this next little section, if you're feeling like you're a little low on resources and you're worried about some stuff, you can come in here. These guys are a great place to farm. They normally drop super missiles pretty regularly. They're being a little mean to me right now, but there you go. So I'm nice and full. Come through here. But one thing I kind of recommend is having missiles selected, running through the door, and shooting and jumping. That helps out there, kills that guy. And these guys, what they do is they get to the height that you're at and then shoot some lava. Like, say I jump a little bit, they might go a little bit higher. And you can shoot the lava and it gives you some drops, or you can try to just dodge them. A little health there. Alright, just kind of continue across here. Do some jumps here, and there's a secret little area back here. Shoot those blocks. Just kind of jump up. And this next section's, you know, maybe a little harder than some of the areas before. So jump on this guy, morph, let him carry us. You can also just run through the lava. It can be faster. Make some little jumps here. Try to be careful. Do the same thing here. Morph, unmorph. Overall, not too bad. We'll come through here. These enemies all die in one missile as well, so that's one thing to keep in mind. You can shoot these, but this is one of the items that may not be strictly required, but it'll help out in your routing, and will also make killing the next mini boss that's guarding the grapple be a little bit easier. So here you want to make some careful jumps. Do not turn around when you land on these. They're kind of buggy, and you can, especially when they're going up, I think. Now that I want to show you, I'm not letting me do it. But yeah, it's possible to fall through these guys here. So if you fall down, you can just come through that door and just, we'll take you to this room that we were just in. We can try again. Yeah, so just some nice careful jumps. Try to avoid the fire and try not to turn left or right like that. Right now, we got another gate here. We just shoot it. It's blue. That means it can be open and closed with any sort of ammo source. And another thing about this wave beam is we're technically getting it out of the developer intended way. So we get these missiles, you can run, jump, and try to do some wall jumps. You know, you can hit the spikes, it's not a big deal. Do a wall jump, you can get there. But this will just kind of speed up a couple little sections, because you can go a different route if you get this wave beam here. Because what the wave beam does is it allows you to shoot through walls. So and also the little gates there. I'm sorry, I should have probably explained this a little better. So these spikes, they have some crumble blocks. There's 2 in the middle here, or 4 sets of crumble blocks, and then there's the 2 set right here. So you either want to try to land all the way on the left, or try to land, you know, here in the middle. Then we kind of go out here, back to that room that we were just in. So, like I said, this is out of the developer intended route, but it could potentially speed up some things for you, especially if you have low ammo. If you decide to skip more missiles, just definitely speed that up. So we just keep making our way back up here. Now we find ourselves at the top of Bubble Mountain. So whatever you do, do not fall down here. But that cactus there will always drop super missiles or big healths if you're full on supers. So it can be a nice little farm spot, but there's also another farm spot in here as well. Just kill these guys. So this right here is a shot block, and you open it, and you jump up here. Easy peasy. Do some farming if you need to. Another great spot to farm. Right now we make our way to speed booster room. There's more of these crumble blocks, so you gotta make sure you just run through this room. Don't stop. Don't anything. Just keep running. Open this door. There's also these hidden missiles there. If you feel like you need some more missiles, I think the pretty out of easy to get. And this gives us the speed booster. This will allow us to get into Crocs without breaking any logic. So we just run out of here, like I said previously, just don't stop running. You can shoot right there at the top to open up the door, but you can also, just bonk the door and it's fine. Just try to get out of here now. Now we can come back down here in Bubble Mountain, go the way that we came to get to the top of Bubble Mountain, but we're going a slightly different direction now. Alright, so now we're going this way. And one of the advantages of Wave, I'll just go ahead and show you, is that you can open up this wave gate. We call them wave gates because it's intended to have wave in order to open them, because you're opening them from the opposite side. Without wave, just turn off all my beams here. You can't shoot it. But there's also a glitch that if anybody's interested in learning, what you want to do is you want to move like 1 pixel, 2 pixels back. Doesn't matter too much. Kind of jump and go to the left. And it takes a bit of work. I've practiced this one a lot, so it's comes naturally to me at this point, but it definitely would speed things up. It allows you to skip wave, so it can be definitely a good thing to do there. Here's another nice little spot to farm, especially if you're trying to do gate glitch and you run out of missiles. Here's another spot to do that. And we can just speed booster through this room. If you need some health, they drop a little bit of health. So this is kind of more of the developer intended way of doing things. Oh no, you need power bombs, don't you? Oh geez. Okay. I'm already kind of. So this is why wave is super important, or like learning gate glitch or something, because now we have to come here and collect the ice beam. Now we can run past here. And so this is where we would want to go down. This is where the developer intends us to go down. But we don't have power bombs yet. We gotta make it through here. High jump, this isn't too bad. So one thing to do is jump and morph. So you can morph pretty much any time. Regardless if you're on the ground or in the air. Jump, morph, and then hit right. That'll get you over here. These guys will come eventually. And then jump, morph. Another way of doing it, if you're having some trouble with jump morphs, is come through here. And from the top, this is the shot block. You can kind of go left and right, left and right, left and right, and that'll get you through as well. Alright, now we have our ice beam, and what this does is it allows us to freeze enemies once you do enough damage to them and use them as platforms. jump back out of here. So there's a couple ways of getting out of here. Potentially one of the harder ones is doing this here. So I would maybe even like recommend taking off high jump if you're gonna attempt this, which you can do from the normal menu as well. You can jump, morph, bomb. Looks a little easier than it actually is, and then you bomb this, and you just go out on the right side. But I think the developers weren't intending for people to be able to do that. So there's a slower way out, but potentially a bit easier. Another nice thing is you can now freeze these guys. Let me turn back on high jump. We're having some trouble. Right, so come through here. Now this is kind of like the ice room tutorial. You can shoot these guys, they'll freeze them. I'm gonna shoot this guy at the top, so you can morph and roll through. Shoot this guy, and not fall in lava like I just did there. Come through this door. Now we are just where I was showing you where you could jump and you know, do a bomb, but it's my easier route. You can also try to like bomb jump and bomb that, but I think whatever you feel comfortable with is the best thing to do, especially in a race situation. So during training, you might try different things and everything, but ultimately it's what you're comfortable with. All right, now we're gonna make our way back here. And if you hadn't gotten Spazer before, now it's super easy to get. Just high jump, bomb that, shoot that, come through the door, and grab your Spazer. If you want Spazer for Crockmire, this is probably the best time to get it if you aren't willing to learn wall jumps. So another option besides ice, if you're not willing to learn the gate glitch or the wall jump for wave, which I would recommend wave over anything else, but yeah, you can freeze these guys and just use them as platforms. This is kind of the developer intended way of doing things, but you can also just get up to here, run, jump, you're good. Speed, you don't even have to wall jump. I think you might even be able to kind of reach up here without ice, but okay, no. Still need a wall jump. Yep, so freeze this guy and jump as well. Those are your two options there to get that final jump. And we kind of keep making our way back up. Kind of do the same thing here. This room's another kind of test for your movement, but another way of doing things is doing a little deboost where you hold jump and then the opposite direction that you're facing, so you can do something like that. It's usually one of the first rooms that people learn how to deboost. Also do it there. Where you can kind of train yourself a little bit. You can kind of face the opposite direction of where you want to go, jump, and then hit back. Oh, definitely a few options there. So what you'll notice, and you might have noticed in one of the previous rooms, a yellow door. And that requires what we get here. These worms can be a little dangerous. They die in a missile. They're a little slow, but they do a lot of damage, so just so you know. Alright, and for this next room, there's a couple ways of doing it. Do a little deboost, or you can just kind of patiently... You want to stay as far away from those guys as possible, because if you stand right next to them, will start jumping up and down. Oops. And these guys will get you. They don't do a ton of damage, but it can be a little slow and annoying. If they're like that, you can try to time them, or you can just, you know, shoot them wherever. Just trying to get past them. That's a couple ways. And then another way is just get this other guy unfrozen. Jump, morph, try to land. So there's a couple little options there. Alright, now we have our power bombs, the third selectable item. You know, get back across however you want. And if you're interested in 100%, there's actually an item hidden back there, missile. You can blow up that wall with a power bomb. And these guys also drop power bombs regularly if you are not full, so it can be a nice little refill for you and taking some missiles. So now we have this door open, and the main reason we came all the way back up here is to get power bombs. And that's why, you know, getting wave or you know, something else like that is important, because it'll let you skip a lot. Now you just come back here, do a little weave. The unmorphing kind of resets your fall speed. You can kind of use that to your advantage in some places. Yeah. Now that we have speed and high jump, this jump's actually a little bit harder. So you'll want a little bit more run speed. I guess it's still not too bad. Just make our way back to the ice area. The vanilla intended route is a decent bit of back and forth, just kind of exploring and whatnot. But this, you know, you can definitely speed it up by grabbing some other things. Because the game really wants you to have grapple in order to get that wave beam, but you know, that wall jump's easy enough. Even as like a kid, when I was playing this in the 90s, I was able to do that. So, oh, I just made a mistake there. So yeah, you know, this is actually a good moment. So if you end up getting stuck in this room, you can blow up these blocks and get out, and give this another try. So now we can blow up these blocks. So we'll have some enemies here. Let me go ahead and turn on Spacer at least. We're not supposed to have wave at this point. Kind of show you how much damage you can do. These guys aren't too bad, but those guys also drop power bombs. So if you're running low, for whatever reason, they're a good little farm spot. And here we come to Crumble Shaft. So if you'll notice, these blocks here break, but you can just kind of hug this right wall, and that'll be your fastest way through it. Otherwise, you're gonna kind of just like, you know, show you an example of what maybe some newer players might do. Like, oh, I'm gonna come running through this door, just like I always do. Like, oop. And you're like, oh no, and then you're like, oh god. So, yeah, just hugging that right side. It's gonna be your fastest way through. So here, this room, next room's fairly simple. Just speed boost, destroy all these enemies and all these speed booster blocks. And now we get to the lair where Crocomire is. And now that we have a fairly decent beam, you can use some missiles or beams. But I like to stand like right here. Try to make sure claw, you stay far enough away so the claw doesn't hit you. And so he'll do that, and then he'll shoot these little balls out. And if you're running low on health, you can kind of farm them for some drops. But you can also just shoot him in the mouth while he's doing that to end things like this. Another kind of faster strat, you can shoot a missile, switch to supers, and then shoot a super. So you kind of just slide your finger back and forth. Or you can just shoot like 2 missiles. There's You know, no real wrong way to kill it. More croc. It's getting melted in the acid. And once he's dead, we can move over here to the left. And you want to make sure you're at least, you know, have the camera scrolled all the way over. That will cause him to come and break open this wall. Very bones. And just kind of run and jump across there. Now, for the people who decided to skip getting power bombs, what you can do is just stand here, or yeah, you know, getting speed and wave already, or learn gate glitch to get through the gate. Is you can just run and jump, and you'll make it up to this platform. Very, very simple. Just make sure you hold dash, and if these bugs come up, just kind of kill them, get them out of your way. Run and jump. With speed and high jump, that's enough to get you to the door. And then you can grab your PBs, because you'll need PBs in this next little section. Unless you're, you know, going crazy and doing a green gate glitch, or doing an infinite bomb jump, which can be a little hard to learn. So we'll come down here. Alright, so kind of lay a power bomb like in this general area. It doesn't matter too much. And what we want to do here is just run and jump. Pretty lenient overall. Like you can, I think you can jump from pretty far back. Let me do a little testing here. Yeah, you can even jump when you aren't even on that incline, but as long as you jump while you're on that incline and keep holding left and jump, you should make it over just fine. And with that, I guess I can go over one other method of getting up here. I mean, if you have speed and you don't want to get power bombs though, you can just kind of run, make sure you're standing far left, jump like that. Or you can learn the infinite bomb jump. So with high jump, it's a little tighter window. Oh my gosh. As you can see it. What is going on? There we go. So you kind of want to lay, you know, for the safest, you want to lay the next power bomb like right above the previous one. And that, you know, that's a little slower than the optimal, or, you know, even the double bomb jump, but it's definitely manageable. So with this, you can skip speed, especially if you get wave, or if you get the green gate glitch on the wave gate, instead of having to get all this other stuff. And this also allows you to skip power bombs. Then we come in, and we collect our prize. This is where the Super 16 run will end. And with that, once again, if anybody has any questions, let me know. And yeah, I think this is, you know, pretty much the vanilla intended route, and threw in some extra little tips in there as well. But yeah, overall, I think this should be fairly doable for anybody that's willing to play this Super 16. So thank you guys, and we'll catch you later. This is Anthony.